Dragon Ball Super episode 122 is now officially in the history books as we make our way towards Dragon Ball Super episode 123 as the battle between both Universe 7 and Universe 11 continues. And joining me here today to share our thoughts and predictions for the upcoming episode is my good friend Jessica, also known as Bubbles on Popo's Bedroom. Jessica, welcome back onto the channel. This episode was godly. Dragon Ball Super episode 122 literally left us in shock from a storyboard perspective, from an animation perspective, from the score. Everything felt so good in this episode because everything was done right. Now, we make our way into episode 123 and we come to the realization that Vegeta's in trouble. Vegeta actually just took an attack where I don't really think it's going to be that easy for him to bounce back from. And what I wanted to ask you is, going into next week's episode, we understand that it was hinted based on the preview that Vegeta is going to unlock a higher power than Super Saiyan Blue. I don't think this is going to be Ultra Instinct. I don't think this is going to be Super Saiyan Blue 2. I think that this has to do with something involving Mastered Super Saiyan Blue from the manga, because in the manga, both Goku and Vegeta achieve Mastered Super Saiyan Blue, so I think to put Vegeta on a much higher scale in comparison to Kaioken Goku, they need to give him something to feel relevant as they fight Jiren. So what I wanted to ask you is, what's your take on this new power? What do you think it is? How well do you see Vegeta doing against Jiren this time? And what are your thoughts about Jiren having to stand back up so casually after having to take so much damage, and to his credit, still fight back from everything he's been through? So what's your overall take on that?
I think it's a little crazy that Vegeta got up after an attack like that. I mean, I know that he's the kind of fighter that always pushes himself, so it does make sense that after he's been this beaten down that he is ready to go again. But you have to remember that the tournament is happening within minutes, so there's not even a minute from him getting that beaten down into him waking back up and getting ready to throw himself into blue,
right,
which is a stamina consuming form. To already be so beaten down to jump straight into a form that could probably just knock him out just by transforming. I think that that's a little bit crazy for him to do, because it doesn't make sense why you're not going to give yourself at least a minute to recuperate while Goku is taking the brunt of fighting Jiren. But moving forward, to see Goku and Vegeta versus Jiren, I think it's going to be cool to see that until one of them gets UI, because Jiren's obviously proven to be really difficult to take down, so it's going to be cool to see how their paired strengths is going to rival him, just because they work well as a team when they do work as a team. So it will be interesting to get to see how their attacks can kind of merge together to fight Jiren, to see if they can at least make a dent on him before somebody gets UI.
Looking at what happened during Dragon Ball Super episode 122, they weren't able to do anything, and what's remarkable is, even after Vegeta unleashed the final flash, Jiren took it upon himself to even say that wasn't even that half bad, I guess you could say, and then he blew him back. It was just incredible to see how much force Vegeta created in blasting Jiren away, and despite all of that, there wasn't even a single scratch on him. So we go into the episode preview and Goku talks about Vegeta achieving a higher power, and many people in the community are speculating that perhaps maybe this is Ultra Instinct. A lot of people have pointed out, based on the outro, that his eyes look very similar to Goku's UI form, and of course the only difference is his hair is not black, it's blue. So what I wanted to ask you is, how do you feel about this? Because to me, I think this is going to be Mastered Super Saiyan Blue, or at least something along the lines to where it's the perfected variation of what Super Saiyan Blue is. I don't see Vegeta getting Ultra Instinct, let alone getting Ultra Instinct mixed in with Super Saiyan Blue. If he were to do that, I don't think that Goku's even needed then, because now you're gonna have Vegeta who can potentially obtain such a power like that. There's no need to have Goku around if there was such a thing to obtain Ultra Instinct and combine that with Super Saiyan Blue. So what I wanted to ask you is, what do you think this is? Because as I just said, I think it's Master Super Saiyan Blue. Despite what it may be, I think that it will give Vegeta more of a chance to survive, because at this point it's all about survival. I just think that he's not going to make it until the very, very, very end, and that's not me hating on the character, that's me looking at it from an objective point of view, and the idea that Jiren so far has been messing with him, and now it looks like, based on the preview, Jiren's going to be taking things a bit more serious. So with Kaioken Goku and this new upgraded version of Vegeta, how do you feel about them having to go into this fight once more, having to fight Jiren? Except this time, we're not just fighting Jiren 2-on-1, we're fighting a more serious Jiren. So how do you feel about that, and what do you think Vegeta's new power is as we go into episode 123?
Vegeta's new power, I think, is just going to be, as you said, the Mastered Super Saiyan Blue, or if it's a possibility to apply like Super Saiyan 2 onto Blue, then that's definitely something that it would be. I just think he's definitely still staying in Super Saiyan Blue,
right,
and that he's not gonna make it to like the Ultra Instinct type form anytime soon. So I think for the remainder of the tournament, we'll still see him in Blue. Even though we did say like, oh, he might be approaching Ultra Instinct,
right.
I don't think that that means now. I just think that it's possible that it's going to happen soon, just because of how he's been applying himself to the fight.
Do you see anybody else getting wrung out in next week's episode? Like, for example, maybe 17, because according to the spoilers that we've gotten for episodes 123, 124, and 125, there is no mention of 17. Now, I do firmly believe that 17 is going to go far with Toppo, but at some given point, I don't see him lasting until the very end as well. I think, as the Omni Kings pointed out in episode 122, the key to survival is Goku versus Jiren, because Goku's the one with Ultra Instinct confirmed, and Vegeta is not. So what I wanted to ask you is, where do you see 17 along these lines? Where do you see Frieza? Because episode 122 was so good for so many reasons, and that was because they introduced so many different variables for fights. For example, how many people expected to see Frieza on the ground when Vegeta was firing off the final flash, towards Jiren? Dyspo was standing over him while, Frieza had his face in the dirt, and the same applies to Gohan in 17. They look to be struggling with Toppo. So going into next week's episode, what are your thoughts on 17? What are your thoughts on Gohan and them having to fight Toppo? What are your thoughts on Dyspo and Frieza? Because that, if anything, stole the show once more. I think the most underwhelming thing that happened during episode 122 was Toppo, Gohan, and 17, because not much was shown. But I think definitely the highlights were Vegeta and Jiren, and Dyspo and Frieza. So where do you see Dyspo and Frieza, and more along the lines, where do you see Toppo, Gohan, and 17 stand going into episode 123?
I think that with the spoilers, we're going to be in for a really cool fight with Toppo, Gohan, and 17.
Right.
Because it was the spoiler of Gohan not ringing out Toppo when 17 had him,
saving Frieza, yeah.
So I think that is definitely going to be something cool to see how Toppo gets 17 to the point where he literally needs to paralyze him to try and take him down.
Right.
So I think that's going to be pretty interesting to see finally in the fight, to see what drives him to the point where paralyzation is actually what's needed to stop Toppo, to actually get to see where this power from Toppo is coming from, because he is one of those fighters left that we really haven't seen much from. So I think it's going to be cool to really get to see how he fares against not one but two fighters from Universe 7, and to get to see, why is the paralyzation needed? Is he truly that strong? And because we didn't get to see much in 122
right.
of the fight between the three of them, so I think it's going to be it's definitely going to be cool to see in 123. And as far as Frieza and Dyspo go, I was not expecting to see Frieza get this beat down. However, it's the fact of remembering that, he still wasn't in gold form, and I think right now he is just having a little bit of fun, because obviously it didn't really look like he was trying too hard to fight Dyspo, but he was a little bit like shooken up in a way that, Dyspo did get the upper hand. But I think it's because he made a careless mistake with his tail, and that's the only reason why Dyspo was able to get the upper hand. So I think that in 123, we'll see a little bit more of a serious Frieza, which is going to be interesting to see, because will he finally go gold again, and will we get to see him fighting gold? Because I know that's what I've been looking forward to.
I think once he goes gold, it's over. I mean, I think that aside from Vegeta and Goku, if Frieza does go golden against Dyspo, it's over. I agree with Dyspo bodying Final Form Frieza because I think that it just suits the narrative to push Frieza along those lines. But in terms of anything else, I definitely want to see Frieza backed into a corner before he does that. And as you just said, I don't think either party was really trying hard, but Dyspo did get the upper hand on him, and I really cannot wait to see what they're going to do in next week's episode, because the episode that we got for 122 was so well put together, from the storyboard to the music to the animation. I think everything was very well rounded, and it's not me just having to praise the entirety of the episode, because the only negative I would have is the fact that Goku is taking way too much time having to fight and toy around when he should be recovering and fight at full power. Now, we don't really know if he's going to be at full power because in the upcoming episode, he's using Kaioken. So my question to you is, do you think this is going to be Kaioken times 20? Because Kaioken times 20 has been so underutilized. It was pretty much a form that was introduced just to get foddered. And I really did not like how Kaioken times 20 Goku fought Jiren, because the minute he went into the fight with him, he got blitzed with Jiren's eyes, and that was it. Once he got blitzed with his eyeballs, that was the end of Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20. So where do you see Goku stack up against Jiren next week? Do you think that Goku has more of a chance than anybody else? Do you think that it's logical for Goku to put up a better fight than Vegeta? Or do you see Vegeta putting up a better fight than how we did in episode 122? Based off of what we saw at the end of episode 122 with him having to take this ferocious attack, because looking at it, I don't see how he's able to stand back up and fight, but it's Vegeta. I mean, the main thing that was targeted during episode 122 was his pride. So with Kaioken times 20, with Vegeta's new power, where do you see them stack up to Jiren? And do you think that, in your opinion, Jiren's gonna unleash his full power, or at least parts of it, as we go into next week's episode? Because we see like this red aura around him.
I think it's crazy that Goku would use Kaioken for just while he's in such a beaten down state.
Yeah. Just
because he's still not fully recovered, and he's made it very apparent that even using Kaioken at a more closer to 100% Goku is still very strenuous on his body. So to have gone through the strain of just the battles from the tournament, and then having the strain from after using Ultra Instinct and still not being recovered from that, for him to use Kaioken now of all times, he just keeps throwing himself, and it's so messed up the way the writing is, because he just keeps throwing himself into forms that use up so much stamina, and just, you know, realistically he would have been long since passed out and done and not been able to fight. So it's like they're really like trying to make him hang on so that he could fight Jiren. And I think that in episode 123, it's going to be a key to see teamwork with Vegeta and Goku, because I feel that even though he is using Kaioken, that he is still recovering while he's fighting. And
there's no way he's recovering. I mean, Kaioken drains the body though. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird to me how he goes into this fighting Jiren with that, because during their first encounter in episode 109, you know, Jiren dismantled him with complete ease. So like, how is this any different? I mean, maybe because of the Zenkai boost, but like in the long run, however, by the end of episode 123, between Goku and Vegeta, in your opinion, who do you see being the last one standing between the two? Because the way they're portraying Vegeta, I definitely want to stand with him, and I would like to believe that Vegeta might be the last one standing between him and Goku if they're gonna fight Jiren, because I feel like Jiren's going to more or less insult Vegeta's pride again, as he did in this episode. So between the two, like, who do you see being the last one standing? And do you think that next week's episode could be better than this week's, or vice versa? Because with Takahashi not having to be behind next week's episode, do you believe that it's just going to suffer a bit, or what's your take on that?
Well, personally, I feel that between Vegeta and Goku, I mean, they gave Goku Ultra Instinct for a reason. So I feel that, you know, as a fan, I do want to see Vegeta do better, and I do want to see Vegeta be the last one standing out of the two. However, in a realistic standpoint, it's considering that, you know, Goku got Ultra Instinct in this arc, and it was essentially for the purpose of fighting Jiren in this arc. So I think that realistically, if Vegeta is not able to obtain Ultra Instinct, like, quick, that, you know, Goku is definitely going to be the one standing between the two of them. And moving forward without having Takahashi animating, I don't think it's going to be too much of a difference. I mean, it was a real treat to get to see such a wonderfully animated episode. But moving forward, I mean, we're just going to wrap up the tournament and see how it goes from here on. So I don't think that's going to be too much of a mishap for me, because I just can't wait for this tournament to be over.
It's really boiling down to like minutes now, because what I really find enjoyable, and you may agree to this or maybe you disagree, is the fact that there's such an unpredictable factor going into this. Like, we don't really know who's gonna eliminate who. When the fight was first presented, oh, Vegeta versus Jiren, everybody proposed the idea that Vegeta's gonna get bodied. And to an extent, he got beat up pretty bad, but he hung in there better than I think anybody else, because who else could you say fought Jiren aside from Goku and was able to recover and fight back and, you know, hang in there with the likes of such a person? Not even Hit, and I love Hit so much, not even Hit was able to do as much as someone like Vegeta did. Same thing applies to Kale. Nobody was able to step to Jiren like how Vegeta did, and people have to give him respect for that. So any final words, any final thoughts as we close out this video, as we go into episode 123, expectations, final thoughts on character battles, just what are some things you're looking forward to the most, and what are your overall thoughts on just what to expect? Because I think that I speak on behalf of a lot of people when I say that I am so curious to find out what Vegeta's new power is. I don't think it's Ultra Instinct yet. I think that looking back and reflecting on the manga, it has to be Mastered Super Saiyan Blue. It has to be the perfected powers of Super Saiyan Blue, because even during the outro, we get to see how Vegeta has this very unique glow in his eyes and his hair. I just think, to me, it looks like Master Super Saiyan Blue. So any final thoughts as we go into episode 123?
My final thoughts on moving forward is that I can't wait to get to see everybody from the crowd perspective, to get to see their reaction to whether it's a Mastered Super Saiyan Blue or whether it's Vegeta on the roads to getting UI. Because in 122, on just this episode, we got to see the Universe 11 God of Destruction, Belmont. We got to see him kind of be shocked that Vegeta was just the power of a Saiyan, and he was really like, I feel like, you know, he was overwhelmed by the fact that such power was coming out of, I guess, such a low-life viewed creature, like as a Saiyan, because they're not supposed to be that powerful. So I think that getting to move forward, to see another Saiyan obtain Ultra Instinct would completely destroy the gods. Like, I think that that would definitely be a moment beyond, like, you know, compared to get to see the realization that two of these just people were able to come up to our level.
Two mortals were able to do that, something that not even the gods were able to do, right?
Exactly. That's something that I just as a viewer would enjoy to see, because just getting to see with Vegeta's big attack in this episode, to see the reaction and the response to that, I thought was really cool. So now to see him move on to a further power, whether it be Ultra Instinct or it be the Mastered Super Saiyan Blue, I definitely think that's going to be a cool thing to see everybody's reaction.
I definitely feel as if next week's episode is going to introduce a different element. I think definitely the element of surprise from several fights such as Dyspo and Frieza. That fight, I think, is going to introduce the most out of the aspect of the element of surprise, just because both of them seem very unpredictable. I think that Jiren, once again, is going to body Goku and Vegeta until one of them, if not both, if it happens, achieve Ultra Instinct, which at this point we know Goku can, but can't Vegeta. So Post your comments down below, guys. What are your overall thoughts and expectations for Dragon Ball Super episode 123? We would like to know your thoughts down below as to what you guys think. Thank you all so much for watching, everybody. Once again, if you guys are new to this channel, punch that subscribe button, guys. Enable all notifications. Tune back in for more if you guys feel differently about what you expect to see. Post your comments down below, guys. Tune back in for more. You guys can also find Popo's bedroom, aka Jessica's channel, located down in the description box. Make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. Thank you all so much for watching once again, and we'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.